So a lot of the websites that I'm going to mention in this video will actually help you do a lot of comparisons to figure out what sort of student accommodation you're actually looking for, depending on what your needs are, what your budget is like, and how far or close by to your student accommodation you actually want to get that student property. Okay, so let's dive straight in then. Hey guys, so obviously the first thing you want to know before you even start using a lot of these sites is that there are different factors that will actually affect the price you pay for your student's accommodation, okay? And one of those factors will include obviously the size of the accommodation that you're looking for. Generally, if you're willing to share with one or more people within the student's accommodation of choice, then your price will be lower. So an example of that is, say, if you were to rent a room in a 5-bedroom property with other students, then obviously that would be far more cheaper than renting a room with just 2 other students in that property. So obviously that's one thing to bear in mind. Another thing to bear in mind is, depending on the amenities that are close by to that location and how close by they are. So for instance, if just outside the doorstep of that accommodation you have access to buses, you have restaurants, you have bars, you have, gyms, etc., that accommodation type is generally going to be more expensive than the accommodation that is, say, 10 or 15 minutes away from those kind of amenities. Another thing you want to consider is obviously like the age of the property is obviously a big factor. If you're going into a student accommodation type that's fairly newer, that's fairly more modern, then yes, you definitely will be paying more for that kind of student accommodation type. Another factor to bear in mind though is the fact that if your student accommodation is pretty close to your uni or to your campus, again, it's most likely that it's going to be quite expensive in comparison to a student accommodation type that is maybe 5 or 10 minutes walk, or 5 or 10 minutes by bus or tram or something, just because a lot of students are going to obviously want to stay closer to university. So the competition for that particular student accommodation type is going to be much higher than securing a student accommodation that one would have to take public transport or walk a little bit further to actually get to campus and to get to their educational institute. So these are just some of the factors you want to bear in mind when you're looking and you're deciding on what student accommodation you're looking for. Okay guys, so the first site I'm going to be talking about is actually Amber Students. Okay, they have a great range of different student accommodation types. Really, even if you're looking for single and double occupancy accommodation types, you're sure to get it here. The great thing I actually like about Amber Students is that they're actually based in a lot of major cities. It's also a very popular choice with a lot of students who are looking for student accommodation here in the UK. So you can see that they're scattered all over, from literally, London, Nottingham, Leicester, Manchester. A lot of them are really big key cities. So I really don't think you'll struggle if you are looking for student accommodation and you're unsure of where or how to start. I think this is a great site for you to start with. Another thing I quite like about Amber Students is the fact that they've got this one-on-one expert assistance, and it's pretty much 24/7. So if particularly as an international student coming from abroad, you might have a lot of questions, no doubt, that you want to be answered. So this is a great way for you to actually, ask those questions 24/7, so that you're completely sure that all your questions are being asked. Okay, and you can see here they've got a really great Trustpilot ratings as well. Okay, so one thing I actually forgot to mention about Amber Students is the fact that a lot of their residential properties for students are actually conveniently based near major educational institutes. So again, this is a great one for you to look at if you are struggling with looking at what sites you want to use to start to search for student accommodation here in the UK. So do have a look, do check them out, and let me know what you think down below. Hey guys, so I don't think I can actually talk about students' accommodations and booking students' accommodation without mentioning Unite Students. Okay, they've been around for a very, very long time. Okay, donkeys years ago when I was still at university. So, Unite Students are actually a great one for you to check out. So, do make sure you have a look at them. They are the main reason I like Unite Students is that they're actually based in a lot of key cities in the UK, generally with popular educational institutions. So, if you scroll down below, you can see exactly what cities they're based in. You can see that they're based in 23 UK cities, including Aberdeen, Bath, Birmingham, Bournemouth, Bristol, Cardiff, right right up to Sheffield and Southampton. If you're studying at any of these institutions in any of these major cities, then do make sure you have a look, check them out. The other thing I like with Unite Students is the fact that right at the top you can see that all bills are included. So this is a great, it gives you peace of mind. You know straight away that whatever you're looking at, whatever accommodation you're looking at, the bills are included. It makes it easier for you to work out your budget, whether it's affordable or not, straight away. Um, a lot of their accommodation, I should say, is actually based on university campuses and places like city centers. So instantly, you know that things like your amenities, so your transport links, bars, clubs, restaurants, things like that, they're probably going to be very well placed for those kind of things. If you're keen on the student accommodation, you settle in having those kind of things, then yeah, definitely do make sure you check out Unite Students. Let me know down below, how you found them. I've never used them personally, but I do know that when I was in university, I know a lot of my friends who, booked their uni through Unite Students. And I also used to go to a lot of accommodations that was actually rented out by Unite Students. And I've never really gotten any complaints. Okay, so I don't see any reason why you wouldn't give them a chance if you are looking for students' accommodation here in the UK. So do make sure you check them out. Another thing I wanted to quickly add is the fact that you can actually book with friends. So this can be a good idea if, say, you're coming from overseas and maybe you have another friend or partner here in the UK that you know is also interested in looking for students accommodation. Both of you or like a group of you could come together and actually book like a whole flat. A lot of people used to do that. It also, that way, it actually helps make sure that whoever you're sharing that student's accommodation with, you actually like them or like you get along with them, rather than being with a bunch of people that you don't really know that well and you might feel, slightly more uncomfortable with or around. So this can be handy again in terms of, doing group bookings and booking that student accommodation, with a mix of people and a mix of group that you're actually okay with living with. Okay, so do have a look, check them out. Let me know down in the comments below, if you're actually successful using any of these sites I'm mentioning. By the way, I will leave all the links down in the description box below as always. So do make sure you check them out. Let me know how you get on. If you have any questions, obviously, do make sure you drop them down in the description box for me at any point in time. Okay then. So the next website I want to share with you guys is a site called accommodationforstudents.com. I mean, I literally stumbled across this site recently. I'd never heard of it before. I don't know how, but it's actually a great site if you are looking for students accommodation here in the UK. Namely because you can also actually book private halls on this website, which 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 I didn't know about. So this is actually a great site. Again, if you're looking for student accommodation in within any of the major cities here in the UK, you can see that instantly. Actually, if you are based already in the UK, it will automatically generate a list of student properties and student houses that are available for rent, like close to your location. You can also book things like student studios and things like that. And the good thing with this site is once you get on it, you can instantly see whether the prices that are being shown are actually bills inclusive or not. Okay, so that you don't have to waste your time faffing around and, you instantly know whether or not the price range that you're looking at fits within your budget or not. Again, we're down to kind of the locations that this particular website covers. This covers a really, really, really big and wide location in the UK. Okay, we're looking at locations that you can get student accommodation in the UK from all the way from Derby right down to Stevenage, Oxford, Nottingham, Leeds, Leicester, and so on and so forth. So I think again, this is another website that you really will get a lot of choice in terms of what sort of student accommodation you're looking for and in terms of the location that you're looking for that student accommodation. So again, have a play around, check the site out, and let me know if you find it useful and how easy you are able to use the site to actually book any student accommodation that you were looking at. Okay, guys, so the next website I'm going to be taking through is Spareroom. Okay, this is an oldie but a goodie. I say that because this was actually one of my go-to sites whilst I was at uni myself, and it stood me in very good stead. I really think there's really no type of accommodation that you're looking for that you can't possibly find on Spareroom. Okay, so Spareroom is one of those great ones, particularly if you're a student, might I add. Okay, so they're based in virtually a lot of locations spread right around the UK. I don't think there's any location that you're looking for an accommodation in and you go on Spareroom and you won't be able to find one. I really don't think so. So as an example, I'm just gonna attempt to search for some accommodation in Nottingham, okay, just to give you an idea of just how useful this site actually is. Okay, so here you can see that I'm quickly able to kind of determine the minimum and maximum length of stay that I want that accommodation for in the search results. I'm also instantly able to kind of pick and choose whether I want short lets or I want weekends only, Monday to Friday, or 7 days per week. Okay, so again, in terms of flexibility, this is quite key. Depending on your situation, of course, you might be looking to kind of rent on a short-term basis initially when you're coming into the UK, so that you get familiar with that area before you then make a choice as to whether you want to book that accommodation or book another accommodation in the long term. So this in itself can be quite handy if you're still on the fence about where it is you want to get your student accommodation and how close or far away you want it to be to the university of choice. Obviously, I will say that the closer it is to your uni and the more amenities it has around that particular location, generally the higher the price you'll pay. So obviously, just bear that in mind when it comes to looking and making decisions on what student accommodation type you're going for and whereabouts you're looking for that student accommodation type. Okay, so you can also kind of filter it by kind of smoking and non-smoking preferences, if you're okay with pets or if there are pets within the area, and whether there's parking available, etc. So yeah, this is a great one. And obviously when you move away from uni and you become a working professional, woohoo, you can also use this to actually look for any accommodation that is predominantly consistent of professionals. Okay, so like I said before, I have used Spareroom literally right through whilst I was at uni, all the way through to my early years as a working professional. And I say again, I don't think there's any accommodation type that you're looking for and you will not find it on Spareroom. So again, this is a really great site to have in your arsenal and have a look and play around with it and see whether you find any useful student accommodation that you actually decide to go with. So guys, one of the last points I want to make is that before actually going ahead to book any of these student accommodations on the websites that I've mentioned, you want to make sure that you actually watch this video here so that you know exactly what you need to do and the things you need to think about before you actually go and view properties ahead of using these websites. Okay, so do make sure you watch this video that I've linked up here to find out some more information on all you need to know regarding student accommodation here in the UK.